I think there has to be a shift to younger people in the development of management skills than there has. It has to be done more rapidly than it's been done in the past. I like to tell the story that when I joined government in 1971, a long, long time ago, I was in my early 20s. At that point in time, the government of Canada was expanding very rapidly. They were hiring new people. By the time I was in my late 20s, and I was no superstar, I was just another employee, I was heading up delegations to international meetings. I was designated as the negotiator for Canada on important international treaties. Over time, we lost that capacity to engage young people, to bring in new cultural shifts or to implement cultural shifts within the public service. And a lot of the power and decision-making kept rising to more senior levels and older levels within the public service. So by the time I became deputy minister, no decisions were being taken by younger people, people who were bringing new cultural influences into the public service, or at least very few, and a lot of young people who joined government in the 80s and 90s and in recent years have been discouraged by the fact that they have to spend not 4 or 5 years, but 15 or 20 years learning the work and developing confidences within the public service before they're put into a position of responsibility. I think that's a big mistake. And I worked very hard in my various jobs to ensure that younger people were empowered to bring ideas forward, to show a willingness to take chances. I encouraged my colleagues to send younger people out representing Canada, to appoint younger ambassadors, simply because I felt that that's the way to build confidence, that's the way to build a new team, and that's the way to bring these new cultural influences into the management of public service. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you make mistakes, sometimes you put the wrong person in the wrong job, but that's okay. I mean, we're a big enough organization that we should be able to sustain those changes, and as long as there's honesty and frankness within the management team, as long as managers are prepared to sit down with their team members, discuss objectives clearly, set standards that have to be achieved, put benchmarks in place in order to achieve those objectives, and then follow up in a positive way rather than apportioning blame when something doesn't go wrong, then I think you develop a management team that's confident, that's prepared to bring ideas forward, and is not intimidated by senior managers or in my case, by governments and ministers. And I regret, I have to say this editorially if I may, that the current government structure is such that a lot of that innovative thinking on the part of younger people is being discouraged. Most of the decision making has been centralized, and as a result, a lot of the good ideas that were coming forward, bubbling up through the enthusiasm of young officers who wanted to make a commitment to public service, a lot of that has been lost. I think it'll turn around, but the pendulum has swung, in my view, too far in the wrong direction. That was a pleasure. I enjoyed reading it. It reminded me of all those issues that I considered extremely important when I was acting in the positions I acted in, and I still believe very strongly in these ideas of empowerment, of engagement, of ensuring that the right management structures are in place, and I think we've taken steps in the right direction, but we've got a long way to go. And I think people who read your book and who follow the ideas will learn a lot about the importance of careful, thoughtful management structures. I think this is something that could be applied not just in the public service or the private sector, but through all organizations. It's an important read, and I congratulate you again on writing it.